Welcome to another episode of Can You Reach That?
Can you reach that?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Would you like to play a game?
Why don't skeletons fight? Because they have no guts.
Can you reach that?
Can you reach that? Can you reach that?
Can you reach that?
Can you reach that?
Can you reach that?
Can you reach that?
It's Can You Reach That? And now your hosts, Tango and Coop.
Can you reach that?
Oh man.
So, question.
Yeah.
I guess the question fitting for the holiday.
The question is, what the fuck are you wearing?
I'm Duffman. Don't steal my gifts, dude.
I can't make any promises.
So, what was your first experience, maybe even as a young child? Like, what was your first experience with scary movies? Like, what movie did you watch that you knew you shouldn't have watched? Maybe you watched it without parents' permission, whatever, and it scared the shit out of you.
You know what? Weird thing. I don't really feel like scary movies scared me as a kid.
Okay.
I think I got like a kick, like an adrenaline rush. Or maybe I liked the scare because it gave me that pump of adrenaline. But the first movie that I remember, I think, had to be It.
Okay.
And I couldn't have been more than
Original Pennywise.
8. Yeah, I couldn't have been more than 8 when I watched it.
Okay.
And I was at my aunt's house. I could have never watched it at my parents' house. They would have never let that fly. But when I was with my aunt, she was, not to say that anything goes, but she was like, all right, if that's what you want to watch, don't come crying to me when you have nightmares. And I'm like, no, I'll be good. So, 2 o'clock in the morning, 8 years old, right? 2 o'clock in the morning, watching It all by myself in the living room while everybody else is asleep. And, I just got a complete kick out of it. But yeah, what was yours?
So, I want to say this is very young,
Yeah.
and this is probably kind of silly too, but I was probably about 4.
Oh, damn.
And it wasn't nothing I wasn't necessarily supposed to watch, but I watched E.T.
Okay. I didn't consider that a scary movie, but
It's not. But like I said, what movie scared the shit out of you?
okay, now when you say that, actually E.T. was the first movie that scared I don't remember everything about it, but I do remember we had to walk out of the theater because that opening scene with the spaceship landing, I think it was more like a sensory overload for me.
Okay.
But, yeah, it was around that time, 3 to 5.
So I was about 4-ish.
Yeah.
And after watching it, any little light I would see in the backyard,
That was it.
because we lived in like this, it was almost like a little duplex kind of
Yeah.
thing, but there was like this little area in the back, and anytime I saw a light, I was like, oh shit, is he back there? Like, I'm 4 years old, and I'm like, I'm traumatized, and then I'm like scared to look out the window because I'm like imagining his neck rising up and meeting me.
Right.
Like, I'm looking at one side of the window and he's
He
lifting
coming
his
up the
head
other
up, you know what I'm
side.
saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I was like, yeah, so that got me when I was young. But as far as actual scary movies, I was probably about 7-ish.
Yeah.
And I just on some late night, shouldn't have been watching TV at all anyways, watched Nightmare on Elm Street.
Ooh.
And
That'll do it.
Yeah, dude, I didn't want to go back to sleep.
That'll do
Like,
it.
sleep wasn't happening.
The gift and the curse about Nightmare on Elm Street is he was actually showing you invading people's dreams.
Right.
So it's like,
I didn't want to go to, and I got that even that young. I got that, and I
Yeah.
was not about to go to sleep because I saw in the movie when they went to sleep,
yeah, that's when he was coming.
it was coming down. So
1, 2, Freddy's
That
coming
song,
for
yeah.
you. Yeah.
exactly, and so like for a while through my childhood, that was something. Obviously, I'd say my teenage years that phased away, and I just became sort of a horror movie fan to a certain degree and all this
Yeah.
other stuff. And then doing some light acting work and things like that. I was on some sets that were for horror films and stuff like that. And watching how they do some of the stuff ruined it for me to the point where when I would go out with like girls or whatever, go on dates, watching scary movies, it turned to the point now where I laughed at stuff.
Right.
So girls would get mad because they're getting jump scared, and I'm laughing, and I'm predicting to a certain extent now.
Right.
So like, and I'm laughing at people getting scared, and I'm laughing at the stuff you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know I pissed some people off because of that.
Yeah.
Which is why some of those relationships didn't work out. But yeah, it became, and then it kind of turned into not only enjoying scary movies just for that fun factor for me,
Yeah.
but then it became this subgenre almost of comedy horrors.
Comedy horror.
That like, oh man, I'm just such a huge fan. I mean, I don't know the extent of your horror film liking.
I mean, I want to say it used to be one of my favorite genres. It's been a minute since I've like actually sat down and got into the horror flicks. But like as a kid, it was always anything that I could get my hands on, I'm trying to watch it. As an adult, it was kind of the same thing. But over the recent years, actually, I would say I can't remember the time frame, but it was around when Signs came out.
Yeah, okay.
The thing that I noticed about horror movies at that time is they weren't really scary. They were more like jump scares. It was more like reactions.
Right,
it was
right.
like blink, and then
well
all
for
of that
me
stuff.
too. That was another thing that I movies versus then versus now, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like, and a great example that I could make the case for is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
Original.
Right.
To this day, it scares the living hell out of a lot of people.
Right.
The newer versions, it's a lot of, hey, let's dump up as much blood around as we can. There's gore. And all that stuff. And I get the visual now. It's technology's advanced, practical effects have advanced. They can make it like that, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that was scary about the first one wasn't what you saw. It was what your brain anticipated happened off screen.
Right.
Like you were scared of what you didn't see.
Right.
And that's, to me, I think when you have a film like that where you see just enough that now your brain takes over.
Yeah.
I feel like those are the scarier movies.
Yeah.
Because now you're like, oh, what just happened?
Right. Your imagination takes over.
Yeah. Versus like, here's it all in your face, dump a bunch of blood, overkill, guts, whatever. That's fine. I get the goriness of it, but the goriness isn't what scares you. It's the anticipation of either what's going to happen or what you think happened after the fact.
Right.
So, because it didn't necessarily show you. And I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, to this day, I feel like the original one is far more of a scary film, a horror film, than the newer versions of those.
Yeah. No, I love me some scary movies. I feel like the last time that I say the last time, at least the last time that I can remember, it's been a while since I've watched a scary movie that I actually thought was scary.
Right.
Again, it's a lot of jump scares. It's a lot of, reactionary type of stuff.
Yeah.
But one that I can think for sure that got me was The Ring.
Okay.
When the chick came out of the TV,
right?
Like that movie had me on the edge of my seat. She came out the TV.
You
I
went
was
back
like,
home to your black and white CRT and was like, I can't turn this on anymore.
I slept with the lights on that night.
That's when you were like, I'm gonna buy a flat screen. Let me get rid of my black and white.
Turned it around, facing the wall. I'm like, she's gonna hit a wall if she tries to come out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was I feel like that was
I mean, yeah. So like a lot of recent scary movies, like I'm the same way. I've seen some and I find them more humorous.
Yeah.
The Ring was pretty good. I like The Ring, and I remember. Let's see if this triggers.
Bro, it does, but I can't think of
The Grudge.
The Grudge. There we go. Yeah.
So I thought the first one was pretty well made.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed The Grudge.
As much as I enjoy the scary movies, I enjoy the spoofs too.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, scary movie.
Scary movie, right?
Yeah. No, the parodies. Like I said, the comedy horror films like Zombieland. I find Zombieland to be one of the best movies like out there. Like when it comes to that style.
Yeah.
It was just good. I mean,
great.
from the moment it started.
And I love me some Woody Harrelson.
Yeah. I mean, his character in that. I mean, when they met Bill Murray.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just so real. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know how to describe it, but like him playing himself and him just being overwhelmed.
Movie,
like, oh my God, I know that's not your middle name, but yeah, I dug that movie all the way through. And I think the cast is what really did it.
Yeah.
The writing and the style of the movie was fantastic, but I can't imagine another cast. Like, I think they all pulled it off.
They killed it. They all played their roles.
So Shaun of the Dead is another one.
That's another great one. Yeah,
I mean,
love that one.
And that borders on parody.
Yeah.
I mean, it is sort of parody, but just hilarious. And then I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a movie called Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I haven't seen that one.
Dude,
Tucker and Dale versus
it's
Evil.
an indie film. A lot of people that I've come across haven't seen it. Hilarious and just well made. It's the premise is you got these two like stereotypical redneck dudes,
right?
Who they acquire this cabin. They're gonna fix up this cabin. It's in the middle of nowhere. Side story is you got this group of teenagers going out to a lake, you know, to do on some Crystal Lake type stuff, right? They're going out there just to
be teens.
Teens. And one of the teen girls sees the two redneck dudes because they're like in a boat. She looks over. She thinks they're like spying on them. She falls, gets knocked out. They save her, genuinely.
Okay.
Take her back to the cabin. You know, make sure she's okay and all this other stuff. And her friends think that she's now kidnapped.
Oh, okay.
So they're trying to save her. Meanwhile, while they're saving her one by one, they're killing themselves in these unfortunate, coincidental, you know, tragedies.
Yeah.
These dudes are like, why are these kids killing themselves like this out here? They're like, these dudes are killing us out here. It's just like it's this whole bit of just coincidental comedy.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, dude.
I gotta check that
it's so
out.
well made, the writing and the back and forth. It's just I enjoyed that movie thoroughly.
I gotta check that out.
So that's one. Yeah, if anybody hasn't seen that, yeah, Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Tucker and Dale
Hilarious.
versus Evil.
Hilarious.
Yeah, that sounds funny. I gotta check that. Yeah, lately I haven't really seen too many. Like I've been watching, you know, the Omens and the Exorcists, and I'm trying to think of the one that they just came out with recently. Can't think of it off the top of my head, but like, yeah, they don't really. I don't really get that sense of scaredness.
And see, even Omen, that's another great one. The remake was terrible.
Yeah.
Like the original Omen was great. I mean, even Exorcist, right?
Yeah.
The Exorcist is one of those movies where a lot of people put that on their list as like The Exorcist, scariest movie.
And I think it's also time frame too. You
Right.
know? Like
but the remake of Exorcist was
it doesn't
terrible.
hit the same. Yeah, it doesn't hit the same. And maybe it has a lot to do with the fact that we've been exposed to so much that we're kind of desensitized to all of this stuff now. I mean, turn on the video games, like they're all violent and everything like that.
I mean, in our era, right? There was a thing that I think desensitized a lot of people that when it came out of our age, we probably shouldn't have been watching anyways.
What's that?
Faces of Death.
Ooh, Faces of Death.
You remember those?
Yeah.
So, and
that was crazy. That was wild.
I feel like a lot of us were watching those when we were like 16, 17, probably shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, talk about desensitizing, that'll affect you like straight up.
For real.
Like
yeah.
like those, because that's not a movie. That's
that was
actual
stuff that was happening.
So, you know, yeah, I think that, because I know that was one of I remember watching it, and I remember just being like, especially the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a few of them, right? But that first tape of Faces of Death was just like,
it's wild.
Couldn't fathom what I just watched.
It took a lot to process.
Yeah, yeah. So I can definitely understand the desensitization.
Desensitization.
Make up words.
Desensitization.
But I mean, it's just, horror movies just, for me, they just don't hit the same anymore.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that. I mean, I will say I'll take that back, because Get Out.
All right, Jordan Peele.
And no, Jordan Peele has kind of brought the genre kind of out of the woodworks. I think he's done a fantastic job.
Yeah, I agree. I'll put him up there. I get Alfred Hitchcock vibes.
Very much. You know, just like an evolution of such.
Like he has a Alfred. Like you can tell he was definitely inspired by Alfred Hitchcock.
There's genuine twists. There's genuine fear.
Yeah. I
mean, they're just. I guess the writing and the directing combined is just very calculated.
Right, I agree.
And no, so as far as new films, you know I said not, but yeah, those
are good.
Those are the exception. Those are the ones that actually are very good, because again, he's combining with the visual, with the not so visual, and letting your imagination run as well.
Right, and I appreciate
very smart,
especially him being a black writer, producer, in the horror genre because I don't feel like there's too many. I mean, if he's the only one that I can say that I know about, I don't know if there's any others. If they are,
I'm sure there are, but
Yeah, you don't really-
but the thing is his have just stuck out, you know,
Yeah.
and especially coming from a world that you know him from, like Mad TV, and then obviously
being
Jordan-
comedy.
yeah, you know, Key and Peele.
I wonder. Okay, now what if he was to do a comedy horror? I think that would be
Fantastic,
right.
I mean, and you know, you saying that just flipped me back to Key and Peele, where
Yeah.
they did the zombie parody.
Yeah,
And the zombies were like locking their doors as they were walking down the street. And then they showed up, and then there was the backyard.
right.
And they were like, "Oh no, they're not messing with us. They back there like barbecuing and chilling." It was like a whole black cookout
yeah,
because the zombies they wasn't gonna mess they was gonna mess with the black folks.
yeah.
So you know, so I could see him taking something like that and just like creating a
that would be dope.
a whole
I mean,
concept.
I love what they did with Keanu. Like they did
Keanu
that action
was
comedy. So it's like to see
and
him
that was
do
them together.
yeah.
You know, so yeah.
So if they were to do a horror comedy together,
Keanu was,
I feel like that would be fire. Like for that, he comes out
just
like
want
he
my
does
cat.
it. He does it behind the camera, but he comes out and is actually in that one too.
I just want my cat back, man.
That'll be
I
crazy.
just want my cat.
Yeah,
Keanu.
that was dope.
Yeah, that movie was just, it was such a interesting concept.
Yeah, it really was. It was different from anything. It
Yeah.
was a little John Wick, but
Right.
it was a little Boys in the Hood.
Just trying to take pictures and make a calendar, man.
A little Malibu's Most Wanted.
yeah, I can see some pull from there.
Yeah,
He just wanted to make a calendar, man.
you're right.
Just wanted to make a calendar.
That was it. That was a great movie, though.
Yeah, Keanu was. I remember seeing the trailer to that, and at first I thought it was a trailer for the new Key and Peele season or something. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like it just came off like this ain't real, right?
Yeah.
'Cause it looked hilarious.
They did a whole movie like
But
that.
yeah, we had to watch it in the theater too.
Yeah, that was a great one.
That was yeah.
But I also love the Scream series. Those were, I feel like those are cult classics right now. At that time, and it was. I feel like there was a big push in the genre because we had the Screams. We had the
So-
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I was about to say, so Scream, I was good with like the first two,
Yeah,
and then it started kind of getting a little, you know,
campy.
campy, cheesy. Same thing for I Know What You Did Last
All of
Summer.
them. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the first one or two were okay, and then it kind of.
Three kinds of holds on, but after that, then it's just like I'm just kind of watching them to watch them.
And then I know they started redoing the Screams.
They did, yeah.
So you know, and the first redo of that group was actually pretty good. It had
Yeah.
its, you know, it's callbacks and stuff.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, the OG Screams. Yeah. Did you ever watch Jeepers Creepers?
I did watch Jeepers Creepers.
That one was one that was I laughed a lot on that movie. I thought it was cheesy,
right.
but it was good cheesy to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the second one, but the first one I thought it was funny cheesy.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting concept.
Yeah.
but
And then we talked about it on one of the other shows, but Saw. Like I enjoyed the first Saw a lot, again, due to the psychology behind it.
yeah,
The next ones after that, even though there was callbacks to it, I thought they were real corny. And it was just
Yeah.
a gore fest. Again,
Yeah.
just throwing as much blood around. But when they came back with that one with Chris Rock, that one was good. I don't know if you saw
which
that
one
one.
was it? I can't remember.
It was when they kind of restarted. I don't want to say they restarted the series, but they just
But
called.
they kind of like woke it back
it's
up.
kind
or
of just
something.
called. I think
Yeah.
it's just called Saw. It's not like Saw 10 or something like that. I
Yeah.
think it's just called Saw. But that one was actually pretty good.
That's a long. How many of those? Do you know how many they got? I feel like that was a long series.
I feel like there's around 11 of them, dude.
Yeah, I kind of got lost in the shuffle with those.
I can say I probably didn't watch 4 through whatever until the Chris Rock one.
Yeah,
I watched the first one because it was something different. It was weird. You saw the trailers.
yeah,
I mean, they parodied that in Scary Movie.
they did. Yeah,
So
Dr. Phil and Shaq.
Shaq, yeah, but that was after the Wayans, which was
Shaq had to make a free throw.
right.
Yeah, that was the third one, right?
Yeah, that was after they stole it from the Wayans, unfortunately. But yeah, the Saw was good. The second one was okay. Had some callbacks to the first one. I remember the third and fourth ones. It just kind of kept it running, and then after that, like really, when I saw the fourth one, I was really over it. Like
Yeah.
I was watching it in the theater, just going, I shouldn't have even bothered.
Yeah, I mean, it just becomes kind of the same story again. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
it's a repeat, just different characters.
And at that point, you're already numb to him being on the scene somewhere. You know what I mean? So you're already
Right.
going just like, oh, where's he at? You know what I mean? And I don't know,
Yeah.
it just kind of, it just became campy. Like I don't know,
I agree.
I didn't dig it.
Now, doesn't quite. I don't, and I could be wrong. At least for me, it doesn't quite fit into the scary movie genre. But Resident Evil.
To a certain degree, I feel like
it's got
it
zombies
does.
and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
I feel like it does.
But I
Um,
didn't really find those scary. I
yeah,
found them entertaining, but I didn't
They
really
were
find them scary.
okay. They were okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were okay. They weren't. Now there was another one that was semi campy, but it could have been better, I think, with the right director, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
See No Evil.
See No Evil.
So,
I do remember.
That was the one with Kane, the wrestler Kane.
Okay, I do remember that one. Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So you know that one was pretty decent. I know
Yeah.
I think they made a sequel to it. I didn't see it. That one was pretty decent.
Yeah.
I remember when 3D was coming onto the scene and it went everywhere. I remember they did My Bloody Valentine. Did you watch that one? And that was in 3D.
I don't know.
And that
if
was,
I did, it was a one-time watch.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was another one of those ones where I watched it and I was like, all right, you know. But there's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of horror films like that.
So many. There's definitely a lot.
How do you feel about? We talked about Freddy. How do you feel about Friday the 13th?
You know what? I really wasn't a Jason kind of guy. Freddy was my dude. Like I love me a Friday the 13th. Those actually did scare me, but again, I don't know, something about being a kid, like
right,
getting scared was exciting to me.
Right.
I don't know if that was just me trying to feel something or whatever.
Right.
But definitely
I watched
getting that jump and then having that, that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's like, ooh, this is.
I watched the Friday the 13th series, for the most part. I think I've seen them all. I thought it was cool. I enjoyed, especially the early ones.
Yeah.
I enjoyed them. I remember finding out later on in life that it's actually a cut of them saying kill mom. So it's actually going kill mom.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, and now that's all I hear. But I learned that much after the fact. But
watched a couple of them, but it wasn't. I didn't really get into that. And same thing with Mike Myers on Halloween. Yeah.
Okay.
Watched them, but it was like, it's okay, it's cool. But Freddy got me. Freddy always got me. I feel like Freddy was unique. Freddy was different.
Freddy, Jason, and Mike Myers, I think, are probably three of the most iconic when you say horror film.
Yeah,
icons.
Top three.
And I feel like either you like them or you hate them, and some people like certain ones.
Ooh, should we do a list of top?
Well, where would you place like say Candyman or Hellraiser in that group?
Man, Hellraiser. Okay, Hellraiser did.
And obviously me. Scream. The Ghostface is now
Ghostface is iconic, but I don't know if. Yeah, he's kind of scary.
He's the second tier of those iconic characters. I feel.
Yeah.
He's there.
I was trying to. There was somebody that I just had in mind, but it slipped my mind. Yeah, I think top of the list is Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger is definitely. I'll go with that as number one.
Definitely my number one. 2 and 3.
I feel like Jason is number 2. The hockey mask, the machete.
I can't refute it. But I was gonna say 2 and 3 is between Jason and Mike for me. Like,
right.
I can't really decide who's who.
I feel
Pennywise is definitely.
I feel like Mike Myers would probably fall into 3, and then
Pennywise is up there.
Pennywise would probably be in there somewhere.
And then maybe I would do Candyman.
What about Carrie?
Carrie was. I would probably give her top 10, maybe not top 5, but
okay.
Top 10.
And Ghostface.
Ghostface was. I feel like he was a different kind of scary,
right?
And maybe that's why I'm struggling trying to place him.
What about?
But I think I would put Ghostface over Carrie.
What about? And I'm brain farting on the name, but what about? Oh boy, on the trike from Saw.
Jigsaw.
Yeah, well, the little puppet.
Ooh.
Or for that matter, Child's Play.
Oh, Chucky.
Chucky's got to be up there too.
Now we
might have to shuffle this list again.
I used to love me some Chucky as a kid.
I first saw Child's Play. I was probably about 12ish.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing. Do you remember the My Buddy doll?
Yeah.
I remember seeing that in the store, like from the commercial I see in the store. I'm like, oh hell no, because I was like,
just make sure you turn the switch from evil.
That reminded me of Chucky, like that creepy little boy doll that they had.
Yeah.
My buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for your lonely child.
Yeah, right. No, I was like, I had friends.
That's
I had a brother.
That's back when they used to try to make toys talk to the kids. We had Teddy Ruxpin.
Teddy Ruxpin, right.
All of that got replaced by the iPad, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, I don't want to read to my kid. I'll just buy him a Teddy Ruxpin, pop in the tape, knock yourself out.
Play, yeah. So, and they redid Teddy Ruxpin too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they recently
They tried to bring him back?
They digitalized his screen, his eyes and stuff, instead of having those
The actual...
eyes blinking. It was like they're actually like screens.
Oh, that's what's up.
And I think it's digital, so
That's crazy.
might have Spotify or something.
Don't put him on the Wi-Fi.
So, but yeah, I think bringing up Chucky, I'm mad that I forgot about Chucky, but I think iconic wise on horror films, he's got to be on that list too. And I almost want to put him somewhere in the 3-4 range.
So over Pennywise.
So Freddy, I think Freddy, Jason.
Freddy.
I think it's Freddy, Jason, Mike, Chucky, then maybe Pennywise.
Yeah. And who would?
Unless I'm forgetting somebody else again.
So that would round out your top.
I mean,
5.
Leatherface too. I mean, where was Leatherface go?
Leatherface. He's probably top 10, 5 to 10.
So he's got to go on there as well.
What was Hellraiser? Hellraiser was a crazy one. Homeboy with all the
pins. Yeah.
Well, was his name just Pinhead? That wasn't just Pinhead. Was it?
Pinhead. Yeah. Hellraiser. Yeah.
Hellraisers were scary for me.
Yeah.
What was the one that had the little ball? It wasn't called Phantasm, was it? It had like a ball that was like little things would pop out and like zooming through. No.
I don't know what ball movie you was watching.
Shit. I want to say it was something like Phantasm or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
you got me on that one.
I'm gonna just. But yeah, the Pinhead ones, the Hellraiser ones, those had me. Those definitely.
So did you watch 13 Ghosts?
I did watch 13 Ghosts.
So
I like that movie.
So 13 Ghosts for me was another one of those like camp. It was cheap. It made me laugh more than anything.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool. Like
all those movies, 13
all those
Ghosts,
different rooms, and all, the whole thing, and
House on Haunted Hill.
I
like that one. Tay Diggs. One thing I liked about that movie is the black man survived.
You know which one was terrible, and it made me laugh. I mean, probably harder than I should have laughed at any horror film.
Which one is that?
Ghost Ship.
I don't even know. I can't even call that one.
And it's meant to be a horror film. Like it's meant, but I could not stop laughing at. It was just so. I want to say they just tried too hard to make it. Tried to make it scary. Like tried to make it gory. The whole. It had me die. Like it was just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
So ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like if anybody enjoyed that movie, I found it ridiculous.
I don't even remember that one.
I mean, 13 Ghosts is kind of like that too, but it was more enjoyable.
I appreciated 13 Ghosts. And then, you know, there was even a couple ghosts I felt like I was rooting for in the end. Just because, I mean, that house was crazy.
Get them.
Right? That house was crazy.
Yeah. Is there any other that you can think of that would go on that list, somewhere on that list? Any other iconic? I mean, Jeepers Creepers, the Boogeyman?
He didn't do it for me.
Any?
I can't. Anybody else is a second string.
Beetlejuice?
Second string. Beetlejuice was just, he wasn't scary. He was just funny.
So is Beetlejuice considered a horror film?
That might be horror comedy.
Horror comedy? Is it?
Maybe.
I never looked at, like, I get the Tim Burton has sort of a style. He has a niche. But I never looked at Beetlejuice as anything close to being a horror film per se.
Yeah.
But I noticed whenever especially like when physical media was more prominent, they always stuck Beetlejuice for some reason in both like family sections,
right,
and horror sections.
And that's funny that you say that, because that's what I was just gonna say. I feel like Beetlejuice was more of like a family. I put it in the same category as Nightmare Before Christmas. Like,
right.
It's a scary setting, but it's not a scary movie.
Another one that I used to see I would see it in it wouldn't be in family per se, but it'd be in comedy, but then it would be in horror, was Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah. And
I never looked at either of those as a horror film at all.
Same.
I always thought they were just like these kind of like these dark comedies.
Right. That's a good way to describe it, a dark comedy.
So
yeah.
What was I remember kind of being a little bit let down, but it was a dark comedy horror kind of thing and I think it was Johnny Depp, and I think it was Tim Burton, where he was
the barber, Todd Sweeney Todd.
No. That was the musical one, and that story that wasn't even original. I mean that was a play that's been around for a while, but no, it was something Shadows. I think I can't remember. I remember seeing it once and was just like, sorry, Tim Burton, what a waste of time. It was, I think it was called Dark Shadows or something like that. It was awful.
I mean, there's so many movies out there. I'm thinking of one. I can't remember if this is the name of it or not, but there was a whole lot of fog, the fog or the mist or something like that.
The Mist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's
that reminded me. What was the M. Night Shyamalan?
Oh man, he actually did have some good movies that he did.
What was the one with the wind? It was the later one.
I can't think of the name of it, but I do have.
I didn't care for it.
No,
I didn't care for it. Like I mean, so Sixth Sense I thought was well made.
Sixth Sense was good.
There's a lot of people who were like, I knew what it was, and I feel like most of those people were lying.
I had to watch it a second time to realize he was dead the whole movie.
But
sorry if I spoiled it for anybody who hasn't seen it yet.
But I thought that one was pretty good. I liked it.
That was iconic.
Signs wasn't too bad. It was all right.
I enjoyed Signs.
I like Signs, and there was one that was kind of, it was very dry to me, and I don't know if you saw that. It was called Lady in the Water.
Vaguely, maybe seen it once.
It had like this like mermaidish creature that came from the water, and they were in this apartment complex. And
yeah,
I don't know. I didn't. I watched it.
It didn't do it for me.
It didn't do it.
Smile. Did you see Smile?
I didn't watch Smile.
No,
I remember seeing the promos where they had the people going like the Dodger Stadium and all that stuff, but I never really watched it.
Yeah, I thought that was a decent one. That was pretty good.
Maybe
I don't know if it makes. I don't. Well, there's no like main scary character.
Right.
It was just kind of a cycle of different. Well, I guess whoever the entity, whatever. Like that one definitely is worth the watch. If you haven't watched it, watch Smile.
Circling back to M. Night Shyamalan, Unbreakable.
Ooh, that whole series.
I know it's not a scary movie, but I enjoyed Unbreakable.
Unbreakable was good.
And then how he tied those into those other films with the
the second one was I can never remember the name of the second one. Where the
dude with the multiple personalities. Yeah.
I can never remember the name of that movie, but he played that role great.
Dude, like the way he would just flip up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, and then the third obviously where they kind of
Mr. Glass, was that the name of the third one?
Yeah.
And brought them all together.
Yeah. So
they did that.
I actually liked that series. I know there's a lot of people that didn't. I thought it was good. I liked Unbreakable when it first came out. I thought it was and people don't look at it as a superhero film. They don't, even though it sort of is. They don't look at it as a superhero film, but I thought it was great. I mean,
at a minimum, it's a film about good and evil.
Yeah.
And I feel like
it's literally the opposite end of the spectrum. So you have the one dude who's completely unbreakable,
right,
versus the dude who, Mr. Glass, who is breakable. I mean, it's an obvious coin to the
dichotomy of yeah.
But I mean, I feel like M. Night Shyamalan has had some good stuff, and then I feel like there's others that.
Man, can't all be winners.
I can't remember the name of the one with the wind. The Happening just hit me.
The Happening
just hit me. Like right when I said it, I was like, The Happening.
Yeah.
When I saw that one, I was just kind of like, I don't know. It just didn't hit. Like I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
I didn't care for that one, but
not a memorable one. I don't really. That one didn't really stick for me.
It took us the last 6 minutes to remember the title. So,
yeah, it's a lot of movies out there, and I mean, we can go even further back. Like I know we've been talking about. I would say we've pretty much picked up in the 80s as far as the scary movie goes, but we did mention Alfred Hitchcock. Like going back further to the Birds and
Birds.
The now I'm jumping all over the place.
So when I saw the Birds for the first time, I thought it was the most hilarious thing, and I was probably like 12.
Yeah,
I thought it was so hilarious because in my head I'm like, why y'all scared of these little birds? Just pick up a broom, start swinging a broom, like whatever, like some stupid, just some seagulls and some pigeons, like what? So I thought it was hilarious.
I'm about to throw out some Alka-Seltzer.
right.
Problem solved.
Yeah. But throw some Alka-Seltzer out there.
Right.
You might have a mess to clean up, but you be all right.
Which is worse,
right? So
that was a good one.
Maybe just wrap this Alka-Seltzer up in this bread.
Yeah.
So
the Shining.
The Shining, I is iconic. I mean, I feel like I know that there was that one remake.
Yeah.
That was I think it was a TV series, wasn't it?
I think so.
It was awful.
I don't remember,
but no, the OG Shining is
Here's Johnny.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fantastic.
Iconic.
I love that one.
That scene right there in itself, him busting through the door.
And I remember seeing that one when I was pretty young too.
Yeah.
And the scene that freaked me out was the bathtub, the old lady. Yeah, that one. And when he was talking to the ghost in the bar.
And that goes back to, you mentioned the bathtub. That goes back to the stuff that you don't see,
Right.
versus the stuff that you do see.
Right.
Like they show you everything now. It's like, oh, now that we can, let's just put it all out there and show them what we want them to see instead of alluding to
Right.
the murder or whatever it is.
There's no illusion. It's just
none whatsoever. Amityville Horror.
Amityville Horror or OG.
Yeah, OG.
Fantastic. But Children of the Corn.
Children of that. Yeah. There's so many. There's so many.
Night of the Living Dead. That was another one I saw when I was young that really got me.
Yeah.
When I was young. Like now, it's because of the age and the lack thereof technology.
You're right.
It's kind of campy.
Yeah.
But for what it was at that time, I think that was a fantastic one. And Return of the Living Dead, obviously. But there was
Right.
what about another campy one? Pet Cemetery.
Oh, I loved Pet Cemetery, but mainly I think I fell in love with that one because of the book. Like I read the book before I saw the movie, and I used to be. I say I used to be an avid reader. I don't know if it was by choice or by force, but I definitely used to read a lot as a kid.
Okay.
And Pet Cemetery was one of my favorite books. Pet Cemetery and off topic, but Where the Red Fern Grows. That was another book of mine. And then they made a movie about it.
That was a horror movie.
And then they made a movie about it, and I was like, "Ooh, I gotta get the movie too." But yeah, Pet Cemetery was a good one. I enjoyed that one, and they tried to do it again.
Yeah.
And it didn't hit the same for me.
Didn't the Simpsons have one of the?
Yeah, I think they did one too. Yeah, the Treehouse of Horror.
By the way, the Treehouse of Horrors is probably
Classics.
again just an iconic. It was a rite to passage every year.
Right.
You waited for that episode because you wanted to see,
every Halloween season.
Yeah,
You looking forward to this one?
Why not?
Yeah,
I've seen every single one of them, so I'm gonna watch it.
That'll be dope. So, and then I know we've been talking about movies a lot, but like switching over to television, there was the Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone is classic.
Used to love me some Twilight Zone.
Hey, didn't they redo that? I want to say.
I think so, but I was doing too much in life.
I didn't watch them.
Yeah.
But the OG ones, there was some classic.
Tales from the Crypt.
Outer Limits.
I don't really.
You know which series? I mean, I don't know if it's considered horror, but what series that I enjoyed back in the day was X-Files.
How did I know you were gonna say that? As soon as you said, I was like, he's gonna say X-Files.
X-Files was dope, man. Like, I mean, in the later seasons, it got a little bit.
In the beginning though, it was definitely.
But
we're talking space and aliens. So
I mean, they went 10 seasons or something, right?
Yeah, they did go
11
a long time.
seasons. So yeah,
Sculler and Scully.
Scully.
I'm mixing up their names. I was gonna say Sculler and Moldy.
Sculder and Moldy. No, Mulder and Scully.
Mulder and Scully.
Yeah, iconic. And
they got Pops, X-Files Pops for
I do.
Sculder and Moldy.
Sculder and Mulder.
Scully and Mulder. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought X-Files was a pretty good series, man. I
enjoyed that one, but not scared. So that I feel like goes into the alien space genre, but then it also has me thinking about there's so many. There's the vampire genre. There's the zombie genre.
So here's an unpopular opinion.
Ooh, hot take. Let's go.
This is one of those ones that some people will say is blasphemous.
The
Walking Dead. So I got through, I want to say maybe 4 seasons of it. I was over it after that.
Really?
Like, it was one of those things where I was like, all right, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, I felt like the stories and everything was sort of rinse and repeat with different people.
Right.
And then they did the spinoffs, and then I was so over it.
I got all the way up to right before Negan came into the picture.
Okay.
So, what was why can't I think of his name?
I want to say I got through 4 seasons. It might have been a little bit longer than that.
I can't think of his name. Glenn? Was it Glenn? Was Glenn his name? Yeah. Right before Glenn left the show, right before Glenn got taken out, that was pretty much where I stopped watching. Not because I wanted to. Something.
I mean,
was going
there's
on.
a lot of series like that I think that people find are like just they love it and I don't, and it's unpopular. And it's I'm entitled to my opinion. They're entitled to theirs. But
Yeah.
there's some that like that. I know some people are like, dude, what you didn't watch the spinoff and this and that. I did not.
Yeah.
Another one that I can tell you I've honestly only watched one episode. It is outside the horror realm, but I just didn't care anymore after the first episode.
What's that?
Game of Thrones.
I haven't even watched one.
I watched the first episode, and literally, it wasn't that I hated it. It was just I had no
interest. It just didn't draw you in.
I watched it and I forgot to watch it ever again. I literally just forgot to watch it ever again.
Yeah.
So I can't even say I don't like it.
Yeah.
I just watched one episode and it just
didn't.
I just forgot to go back and so I've never watched it.
Yeah. I haven't seen them. It never interested me.
I mean, I've always pissed people off with some of those opinions. Like I find this is way off the topic of horror films, but I found the TV series Friends just not funny.
Oh,
so
really?
So a lot of people were just like, oh, whatever.
I love that movie. I love that series. I was a huge Friends fanatic, but not when it was on. I became a fan after it stopped airing.
And there's been series like that for sure. Especially, I'm a big comedy fan. I love watching comedy, everything. But I just didn't get into the idea of Friends. And seen enough episodes to have a good opinion. I'm good.
No.
But like you said, like there's other shows that I got into after the fact that I know that they were like I was a late bloomer to Office, right?
Yeah.
Like I think when I started watching Office, they were on their last season.
Yeah.
And that series is hilarious. I love The Office.
Great. I love that dry humor.
And going a little bit further back, I didn't watch any episodes of Third Rock from the Sun
until they were
when they were doing the reruns at like 11 at night.
Yeah.
And I'd be up, whatever. That's when I started watching Third Rock from the Sun, and it was already at that point it had been off the air for a couple years.
Yeah, Third Rock was hilarious.
Funny series.
Third Rock was hilarious.
It was a funny series. I was like, but yeah, Friends. Nah, I'm good.
Man, yeah, I completely fell in love with it. Like I used to say, those are my favorite white people. Like, like that shit had me dying. Even though they stole everything from Living Single, but.
And see, like, and I used to watch Living Single, and I thoroughly enjoyed Living Single. You know, it was like that lineup. Martin, Living Single.
Oh, Martin.
Yeah, I mean that whole lineup was fantastic. But
Yeah.
like, I couldn't get into Friends.
Yeah, I found that one after the fact, and I was like, oh, this is entertaining to me. But I think I've always gravitated towards those group comedy shows.
Right.
Seinfeld, for example. Like it was.
I wasn't a big Seinfeld fan.
You weren't either. You didn't like Seinfeld either. I found it entertaining. I liked it. What is the deal?
Right. It wasn't my cup of tea.
Kramer, that motherfucker.
Now like sort of more recent, like you said, group comedies.
Yeah.
How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, I love that.
Love it. Thought it was hilarious.
Love it.
That was hilarious.
Neil Patrick Harris is
Big
Barney
Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. I enjoyed
it. So
I thought that I would appreciated Big Bang Theory for when it came out, because as I'm watching it, it's like, oh, look, the kids that got picked on have a little voice now.
Right.
Right. Like they kind of flip the script. Normally you see the other side and how they live.
Right.
So it's like to get insight on the nerds after they grew up, being their rocket scientists and everything like that. Hilarious. And then for Leonard to get the hot girl, girl.
Right.
And
he was persistent, man. He was persistent.
Super persistent. Like a little puppy.
He had her, and then he lost her. And then he watched her go through like all these other dudes and got her back again.
Yeah.
And, so.
And I liked Leonard after he lost her and got her back, because after he lost her, then it was like that whole, oh, well, I'm just going to be me now. Like, we've already done this. Like,
right.
I'm going to be more me than what I was before.
Yeah.
So I thought that was dope, seeing that transition in him too.
Yeah.
Because he grew a little more backbone after that,
And we've talked about the downfall of those comic sitcoms, and it stands true with Big Bang. When Howard got married, I knew that okay, now we're starting to look at we've hit the peak, and now we're on the downward decline.
Right.
Then he had his kid, and it was like, okay, now we're going further. And the show did suffer a little bit. When he had the second kid, I was like, that's it. And sure enough, like there was.
I haven't even gotten that far into it.
Yeah, like those last couple of seasons, they were okay, but it was. I think what happened for me was, the last maybe 3 to 4 seasons, especially like the last 2, especially, the nerd humor went away.
Yeah.
And that was the key to their success was the
Right.
nerd humor.
Right. I agree.
So because that kind of went away, I think it took the show, it gave the show a different vibe.
Yeah, because they definitely pushed it more into a relationship type of show. Because then it was
It was the mature.
right.
It was more like, okay, we're finally gonna grow up, you know.
Because it was different when it was just Leonard and Penny,
Right.
and then it was Sheldon and Amy, and
Right.
then we had
Shamey.
Shamey, and then we had Leonard and I forget her name, but Leonard and his girl. You remember her name?
I don't know why I'm brain farting right now.
I can't think of her name right now. I can see her face. I can hear her squeaky
Squeaky
little voice. Yeah,
And it's crazy because that's not even her voice.
right.
She
At
puts
all.
that voice on.
At all. Yeah. The first I won't say the first episode I love, but like one of the
Bernadette.
episodes that Bernadette, there we go. One of the episodes that I loved was when she stayed over at his house.
Oh yeah.
And then, you know,
The mom.
they sleep there and they wake up the next morning and then she's like,
"Oh, Howard, I know what you was doing." Yeah.
He hasn't tried it yet.
I was like, oh shit, he's about to marry his mom.
Hey, when that was yeah. He wants butter.
He
It's
Says he
butter
wants more
flavored.
butter.
It's butter flavored syrup.
You
Yeah,
want
no.
the syrup? I get the syrup.
It's just
Yeah, that was good. But like, yeah, once it started switching to that dating, romantic, coupley. I mean, they even tried to get Raja. Well, I don't say tried to get Raja.
feel
Girl.
like
they got Raja.
I
Girl.
feel like that was the one storyline they sort of got lost with at some point, where like it felt like they found a kind of a niche for him to acquire a girl, and then they lost it, and then they tried to find a different niche, and then they lost it, and I don't know if that was due to maybe the actress themselves just not coming to agreements with any sort of a long-term commitment to the show.
right.
I don't know how that worked, but yeah, that was the one storyline. It was funny, but I mean at the same time it was kind of like,
I mean, I feel like they did Raj dirty.
and then they tried to do the arranged marriage,
Right.
which I thought was
It's too on the nose.
yeah.
They did the whole migrant. You know, he had his accent. He couldn't get the girl. He couldn't talk around girls. I was like, you know, I appreciated his character, but I feel like they did him dirty. But then I feel like they did try to recover, you know, eventually.
And don't forget Leonard got his sister, so
Leonard did get his sister. Good for Leonard. Leonard was a pimp, man. Gotta hand it to Leonard. Leonard had a lot of chicks under his roster.
I feel like he was playing a role.
Right?
He was lying.
Right?
So
That's funny.
but yeah, I mean, but going back to the horror genre, then we took a little detour down comedy. But that's just it. Like I said, like I'm a big comedy fan
Yeah.
of all types. So
Yeah.
I always find, and that's why I like the comedy genre, the comedy horror genre.
Yeah.
You definitely got to check out Tucker and Dale, man. Like,
I'm gonna check that one.
You got to check that one out. Like that.
Put that on my list.
I feel like you'll dig it. But no, I mean, and like you said, the scary movie parodies. I can thoroughly say that the series did decline after the Wayans were removed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
without their input, it wasn't the same.
The Doofy storyline was just, it was too funny.
Doofy was hilarious.
Just too funny.
Doofy was hilarious. I told you not to bother me when I'm cleaning my room.
Right.
Like, what? Bruh.
Mom said I could use a vacuum. He had his felt badge.
Plot twist, you know.
Right, yeah.
At
And there was
the
a
end.
plot twist, yeah. So
Who saw that coming? Nah, they did a good job with
and
that.
I love that they played on the whole plot twist. I
Yeah.
love that they played on it and they did it that route because it just made it that much more hilarious.
Yeah. Really
So,
did. It really did.
I mean, especially because it's a parody, right? So you're going to parody everything, including the plot twist. And you took that plot twist and
Yeah. And then they had their little ode to Blair Witch Project.
right.
So there's another one, Blair Witch Project.
So was Blair Witch a scary movie to you? Because it was not to me.
I didn't think it was scary. I would definitely say it was suspenseful. I was definitely invested the whole movie to see how everything went down. But at the end, I was like, yeah, that kind of fell flat.
So I remember going because the girl I was with at the time wanted to see it badly, and the trailers were fantastic. The trailers made it seem a certain type of way.
Right.
Went and watched it, and I'm just sitting there the whole time. And I mean, I was like this, dude. Like I was just utterly bored. Now she was jump scaring and grabbing on me and the whole nine, which, you know, cool.
Yeah.
But I just, man, it was just running and the shaking camera, and I get it. It was a style. It was low budget too.
Yeah.
I remember that. It was one of the first like extreme low budget films that was
Yeah.
successful like that.
Yeah.
But the shaking camera, and I get it, the suspense of what you're not quite seeing or what you're blurry seeing because of the movement. And then like the whole, face in the corner when you get, you know what I mean?
To
Like,
get to the
I was just like,
And then the other thing too,
it was
when
so
they did
underwhelming.
when they did the advertising, they I feel like you got the vibe you couldn't tell if it was real or not.
Right. They definitely marketed it like it was a documentary.
Yeah.
Right. And I get it because that's the style of the movie that they did. And I totally appreciate the style of the film. I just appreciate what the angle was. I just, at the time, completely underwhelmed. Like she enjoyed it. I mean, and she was scared in the whole nine. I was sitting there completely underwhelmed and like, I didn't dig it. So, I know they did a part 2 and all that stuff. I never watched it. I've never seen anything. And I've only watched Blair Witch the one time.
Yeah.
With that girl at that time, and I've never seen it
Never
since.
seen it again. Yeah.
So, no hate. They did their thing. They independent, low budget. They made a lot of money on that movie.
Just didn't hit for you.
Just did not hit for me.
I get that. Hey, they can't all be hitters.
What about Pumpkinhead?
Drawing a blank.
All right. What about? Let's see. What else is out there? There's got to be other ones, right? Blair Witch was when like I said, you brought it up, and I completely forgot about it.
Yeah,
like
I did too. Something triggered it just
so
now.
underwhelming.
Yeah.
It's a forgettable film for me. I know there's people that love it and they'll reference it back. I'm definitely not hating the hustle. I think they did a phenomenal job of marketing it, and I think that's what made it successful.
Right. Yeah, marketing is everything.
But whereas I said how some horror films made me laugh, even though they weren't comedies, they just made me laugh just because that's how I took it.
Right.
I think that's what got me further into when they started coming out with those horror comedy films. I think that's what kind of drew me in more, because now not only did I have the quote unquote scary film, but it was intended to be funny.
Right.
Now I'm all on board. And just sitting here a second ago, it reminded me of, do you remember, Is This the End? The comedy with
Seth Rogen
and all those guys.
Everybody. Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious, dude. Like,
that was great. That was a great movie.
And I love the fact that they were all playing themselves. Everybody was themselves,
Right.
and that's what made the movie like really cool, because it was like, oh, this is real life, and these are these celebrities, and
right. Having a party.
And they kept calling her Hermione. Hermione whipped ass, So
Rihanna slapped the shit out of Michael Cera.
He did. She did. Oh yeah,
slapped the shit out of him.
I saw a story that was real. That was a real slap.
That was a real slap. Yeah.
So, I remember he was talking about that. But no, I found that movie. That's another one that's on my list. Like around this time, around Halloween time, there's a list of movies similar to Christmas where
you got your Halloween.
Yeah, I got my Halloween list. It's Shaun of the Dead, it's Tucker Dale, it's Is This the End? I mean, there's just certain movies that I just gotta watch them. I mean, it's like Christmas time. I gotta watch Christmas Story. I gotta watch
Christmas
Elf.
Story's a good one. Elf's a good one.
And I usually watch Christmas Vacation. Those are the 3 that I usually watch for sure.
Yeah.
And Die Hard, because that's a Christmas movie.
100%.
So, but yeah, Is This the End is definitely
that's a great movie. I love that movie. They did a good job with that one. All the cameos.
The cameos were great, and I just love that there was no characters for the most part. I mean, they were themselves.
Yeah.
And I just thought,
well, Channing Tatum.
Right. He kind of he took it the wrong way.
He was taking it all right.
I think with that he reached it. Yeah.
He was getting reached.
Yeah, classic film, man.
Yeah.
So with that, throw the comments out there. What's your favorite scary film, scary movie, even comedy horror? Like, what's on your list to watch during this Halloween time? I'm just curious to see what people think.
Yeah.
And with that, can you reach that?
Can you reach that? Can you reach that?
Can You Reach That? Brought to you by Double One Entertainment in Coopersville. Hosted by Tango and Coop. And created and edited by Tim Greenlee and Brandon Adolphus. Music, sound design, and editing by Michael B. That's me. Visual art and graphic design by Jonathan Greenlee. Additional visual design by Timothy Greenlee.